Hey guys, it's Josh the car guy with another one, Lux First Choice Cars. We got a 2023 Lexus RX 500H F Sports Performance today. So this is for a particular client. They have a preference in mind. And honestly, this is actually the third vehicle we got for this particular client. And their biggest thing is white on black, white on black. Fuel efficient, and then also, of course, family orientated, with a little bit of sports feel. And this Lexus RX definitely fall into that sweet spot. And we'll just dive in. I mean, looking at this RX, it is, you got 2.4 liter four-cylinder turbo on it. It is hybrid, so that's always a plus in the Caribbean, right? Looking at those duties. So just looking at the exterior here. So yeah, just as you have it, white on black, RX 500H. Tires look brand new. Just overall a sweet ride. Flat engine. Um, got the moonroof, leather interior, fully blacked out, huge infotainment display in the front. Leather still looks brand new. But yeah, these are just the things that we send these pictures in detail, so therefore you can have a good feel for the vehicle. But that's just So that is just the first step of it all, right? For us, we go in more depth to look at if the vehicle is viable for our clients. So let's just dive right in. So the first thing, you have a CR. CR is condition report. That is something that we definitely want to look at. So looking at the condition report, of course, some condition reports, or a little bit more than not. Of course, sometimes the seller actually pays for the actual graded CR, which sometimes they don't, but the platform is still required to, give it a CR, which is condition report. This is just a standard CR stating, what is there, what is not. Example like keyless entry, manuals. It says no, structure damage, no. Simple stuff like this would be on the CI just to look at what's there, what's not, what's missing. And this is basically a basic CR, so that tells me that they didn't put a grade on this, but that's fine. So next step is looking at the Carfax. Generally, of course, looking at the Carfax, some people just skim through it, but this is a very important document, right? We say document because it tells you the lifeline of this vehicle, right? It's something like going to a doctor, and the doctor has a file on you. You have a particular doctor, and that doctor knows, hey, you did this at this date, what medications you need, and what to continue on, right? So same concept with the Carfax. It's showing you like, hey, from 2020, what what you did from then to what you are now, and what you possibly could be in the future for for someone, right? So let's just dive in. So you have one owner on this vehicle. As you can see, it originally came from Lexus Glendale. If you take a look at it, it was like with Lexus Glendale, at 10 miles. Then of course, in December time, they did about 5,000 miles in between. Just 6 months, 5 months, not really bad. That's typical, because generally, it is 15,000 to 20,000 on the standard, for per year, at least here in the U.S. So that's actually typical miles, meaning that the person actually rode it, whether they're going, work, home, church, wherever it is. So they did a maintenance inspection, 5,000 mile service performed, which is typical for a new vehicle. Generally, they say 5 to 10. Some people say 10, some people say 5. It all depends, right? So they did a fluid check on the 5th and the 24th. Yeah, let's see here. So basically, what I'm looking at here too is the jumps in time, right? Jumps in time reference to the miles and then the servicing. So the jump in time will tell you the intervals, but also the miles will tell you if they kept it consistent and they actually had like a, a measurement of the miles and what they were keeping up with, right? Because somebody could drive for 10 months but then don't drive 5,000 miles down the road, or somebody could drive 5,000 miles down the road and didn't service within 8 months, which typically they drove, they didn't drive that much. So these are two things that we kind of look at, or as well as the servicing side of things. So looking at this, okay, so in 2025, 1 month, tire condition, transaxle replace, that. Okay. Okay, so the biggest thing that was on this vehicle, for us, that was a red flag. So the transaxle got replaced, right? What does that mean? That's it's basically in the gearbox of the transmission, that basically levitates between the drive shaft and everything else that combines the entire thing. So that getting replaced kind of signals a little bit of red flag there, but at the same time too, that calls for an actual inspection. Now, with this particular client, they know that stuff a little bit, meaning that they done mechanic work in the past to understand that those type of things kind of happen on newer vehicles. The Lexus kind of had at least the RX in a sense had that situation with a few vehicles, and once it was changed and resolved, it actually was good to go. So us seeing that, we actually had to run a inspection on this. So that was another thing that we usually recommend, right? And then looking down below, we do have a recall. Now, the biggest thing about having a recall on this, um, the thing about this having a recall, it did alert us to, like that's another red flag, which was two things. And at the same time, the fact that recalls can be satisfied, right? As you can see here, remedy available. That typically means that, hey, at the end of the day, you can take this to a dealer, they'll get it fixed. At least the Lexus dealer, and they'll get it fixed, no charge, right? Now, in this point of view, one, we have to do an inspection because of the transaxle. Two, there's a recall to see if they actually satisfied the recall or not. And then, of course, three, understanding, what if the recall is not satisfied. And then on top of that, the third thing is being that it does have, I know you guys are looking at this on the screen right now, manufacturer buyback or lemon reported. Now, of course, when people hear lemon, automatically they don't want to hear anything about it. However, what people don't know is when that says that, that states that the manufacturer actually bought it back from Lexus, took it in, because there was a few vehicles doing the same thing just as stated, and then actually, sold it back out. So generally a vehicle like that going into manufacturer, them fixing what they had to fix, and then actually come back out into the general public to be sold is a pretty good thing. You have a 2023 and a 2025. They took it in 2025. 2 to 1. What the manufacturers are going to do is actually deep dive on every single angle of that vehicle before they bring it back out. So you're looking at a very viable vehicle in 2025 or 2023. and still getting from 2023 to 2025 pricing, right? If you look at that, and of course, once inspection checks out, don't even though that's what that is, we still want to do our inspections, right? So, as of course you can see, vehicle was sold. Um, but yeah, this was a vehicle that we actually ended up purchasing. It was still very good. The recall actually was satisfied. The axle was checked out thoroughly. It was sent to the manufacturer, so they actually fixed all of that. It was running very well, and they love the vehicle eventually. Also, this is just another precaution that we do take, just by looking for if there's a recall on the vehicle at a particular time, that we did find what it stated on Carfax. So this is just something, we cross reference point to point to point. And this is generally, our process in regards of doing this on the back end of things. And then, of course, looking at pricing, right? We want to look at the MMR. MMR is generally, Mannheim market range. So it's basically like an average, comparable, to see what vehicles like the RX are selling for. So therefore, we're a little bit competitive, right? Generally, what we like to do is, we look at these prices, we go to actually retail places, to retail platforms, to actually cross check pricing, and to see, are we actually getting this at a good deal? Are we overpaying? Looking at the transaction history, what are they really going for? What could we actually, possibly get off of it, for our clients? Because we do know purchase price equals to custom cost. So, and of course, most people, expatriates, when they want a vehicle and they possibly looking at hybrids, it's something that they really, look into. So we keep that in the mind up front, to know on the back end, that would generally help the back end, right? So this is just, a general process, and deep diving on these vehicles. So yes, a lot of people just, look at pictures. For us, it's more than that. We try to bring forth the consistency in the work that we do. So therefore, we know that you're assured that you're getting a very good vehicle, and it's not a vehicle that you're gonna have today and then tomorrow, you're gonna have to call Josh and be like, Josh, I'm on the side of the road. No, we don't want that. All right. So guys, this is generally what, Lux is all about, and what we generally try to do to, prevent any anybody getting any bad vehicles or lemon vehicles per se. So therefore, you're well protected, and know that you're working with somebody who's viable, that's gonna actually put in the work to make sure that you're getting something nice for you and also your family, in this instance, for like this RX and our client. And this is a returning client, so we definitely take care of our clients. As I always say, clients turn into family. And at the same time, watching out for your own, it's always a plus when it comes to locks. Thank you, guys.